My talk of the table, we're talking poet Amanda Gorman. Know her, love her. You know she's having a very ginormous year.
We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one.
Wow, I just love how she speaks. You all remember this, making history as the country's youngest poet to be featured at a presidential inauguration. And when she delivered the Super Bowl's first ever pre-game poem. Remember that? That was only the beginning for this 23-year-old superstar. Since then, Gorman has appeared on the cover of Time magazine and Variety, just to name a few. There she is on Glamour. She's partnered with Estee Lauder and signed with IMG Models. This morning, she releases her third book this year. Wow. It's called Call Us What We Carry. We spoke with Amanda Gorman at the Noya House co-working space inside the historic Bradbury Building. It's a beautiful place in downtown Los Angeles. When you look back over the course of the year, what has it been like for you?
Oh, that's such a good question, and it's also, I think, a really difficult one to answer. Most of the year, it felt like I was kind of shot out of a cannon and trying to fly high.
I was wondering if you felt like you were on a rocket.
Yes,
I actually wondered that.
Absolutely, and I think one of the scary things about being on a rocket is you sometimes feel like the higher you climb, the harder you'll fall. And so for a lot of the year, it was, I think, also frightening and terrifying of, could I live up to this expectation? Could I live up to this image and idea that people had kind of made of me?
Many would say Amanda Gorman is exceeding expectations.
Amanda Gorman.
Amanda Gorman.
Amanda! Everybody knows her name. How do you process that?
Oh, I'm not even sure if I can process it. I'm like a MacBook Pro with a spinning rainbow wheel. I'm just like trying to stutter to the next web page. It's really hard to, I think, even absorb.
As a kid, you felt like the weird kid in class, the outsider in class. Did you?
Yes, and I think I still feel that way.
You still feel that way?
Oh, all the time.
Did you see yourself on the red carpet at the Met Ball?
Thank you.
When you walk in room, they go, it's Amanda Gorman. Amanda, right here. You still feel that way?
Yes, I think there's like a little bit of that imposter syndrome because I'm such a nerd, such a geek, and be so gangly. And I think when I was growing up, you know, I wasn't just kind of a really brainy kid. I was a really black kid. I was a really skinny kid. I was a really small kid. And also a kid whose voice was kind of distorted by a speech impediment. So all of these things kind of made me feel as othered or too different, you might say. And so, yeah, it really made me feel sometimes on the outside looking in. And I think nowadays with more age behind me, I look back at it and I am so grateful for that experience because all the things that make me different make me who I am, and they make me great.
So starting from that, where does your confidence come from today?
I think my confidence wasn't necessarily something that I taught myself, but something that was modeled for me. I was raised by a single mother, and I think the way in which she would walk through the space and kind of hold herself as a black woman, that was a great type of kind of symbol for me to look at and go, this is how I can continue in this world.
Gorman's walk through the world of literature is really more like a sprint.
That is the promise to Glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it.
Her book, The Hill We Climb, an inaugural poem for the country, became the first book of poetry to debut at #1 on USA Today's best-selling books list. She says her new book will serve as a record of the baggage and the blessings we've carried through this pandemic. Every cough seemed catastrophe, every person a potential peril. We mapped each sneeze and sniffle. I thought, that's so true. I remember somebody sneezing and coughing. You went, oh, what was that? Yep. Certain the virus we had run away from was now running through us. What made you write that?
It was part of me trying to document, I think, the social, emotional reality of what a pandemic is. I can give you facts, I can give you numbers, I can give you deaths, but when you're walking through life afraid to breathe, afraid to be close and proximate to people, I think that does something to the body and to the soul.
There's no power like home. We are sick of home, homesick. The mask around our ear hung itself into the year.
I'm so honored that you like my wordplay or my
I do. Let's
punning, as I
talk
call
about
it.
your wordplay.
Yes.
And your process with that.
I think I really wanted to take certain phrases and turn them on their heads, not necessarily to kind of feel smart or pat myself on the back. But when you look at it, in many ways, we're really lacking language around how to grieve, how to be at loss. I wanted to create rhetoric that could more accurately represent our experience.
What is your process when you start to write a poem? Is there a certain thing?
Wow, I'm trying to think of my process, and it's really messy, and it can look like different things. And I think with the moments of turns of phrase in the book, it was less so me at my desk trying to write puns, but more so me walking through the world, walking down the street, seeing signs, and really listening to people and hearing the words that we use to each other, about each other.
Writing poems put Gorman on the map, and in murals, too. From her hometown in Los Angeles to Washington, D.C., the place where she plans to one day attend an inauguration of her own. You sit here today as a 23-year-old young woman, but as a young girl at 11, you said, I intend to run for president in 2036. I'm thinking at 11, I might have been still playing with Barbie. I was certainly doing puzzles.
Well, you should know 5 years ago I said I wanted to be the inaugural poet, and now we're here. So
you said that you said that 5 years ago?
5 years ago. I think there's just a type of spirit in me which feels if I'm not going to dream a dream for myself, who is going to? If not now, when? If not here, where? If not me, who? And so it's kind of that questioning of both myself and the world that gives me these ideas of how are the ways that I can continue to make change.
All right, let's do 3 fun facts about Amanda that only Amanda knows that we don't. Go.
One, I am a huge Star Trek fan. 2, I can walk on my hands.
You can?
Yes, I can. And 3, I have kind of a fear of feet. I don't like looking at people's feet.
Really?
No, I'm like, put your shoes back on, please. Thank you very much.
That's very funny. When I think about you, I think that I admire and I celebrate your confidence. But I also read that you said, I'm still trying to figure out who Amanda Gorman is. How does one figure out who they are?
That's a great
Especially
question.
if they're you.
Yes, yes. I remember this was several years ago, and I saw kind of a sign as I was walking kind of down a hallway that was, life isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. And so if I throw away this idea that there's going to be a kind of singular destination in which I arrive at myself, but rather that it's more so of a journey, it's more so of a climb, then that's the type of voyage that I can kind of invest myself in.
Amanda Gorman, a rock star. I said to her, who are your friends? Do you have friends? And she goes, yeah, she has a very solid friend group, but she admits she is the nerd of the group. But she has a variety of friends, small but very secure. She has a twin sister. I didn't know she had a twin, Gabrielle. Shout out to Gabrielle, who's a filmmaker. She said for fun, she reads a book 3 times if she likes it. First, to read it. Second, to take it in, to see what she can learn from it. And third, to see if there's a way that she could rewrite it better. And when she was a little kid, because she still says she's a nerd, she used to read the thesaurus because she has a speech impediment when she was younger where she couldn't say R's. So she read that book to come up with different words.
Wow.
So she's I said, I think my vocabulary is good, but your vocabulary is off the charts. And the way that she puts the words together, it was just a delightful afternoon to spend with her.
She's a national treasure. I just, like, when I asked you about her friends, it's like, because I want all of us collectively to protect her.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You all feel that.
Exactly.
No doubt. She is leading the way. Keep going, Amanda.
Yeah, that's right.
Keep going.